Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are making a delicious, comforting vegetable stew.
Grab a plate, 'cause it's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Growing Spaces. Within 7 days of harvesting, most fruits and vegetables lose 50% of their nutritional value and can sit in storage for weeks before appearing on the store shelves. The best way to get the complete nutrition from your produce is to pick it fresh, right off the vine from your own backyard greenhouse. For over 30 years, Growing Spaces has been providing geodesic greenhouses for families, communities, and nonprofit organizations that allow growing year-round, regardless of weather conditions, even under 2 feet of snow. We plan on installing one in the future here on the show. As a very special deal for our viewers, click the link in the description to learn more and to save 5% off of your order.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. It is getting chilly outside, so what better way to enjoy the chilly nights than a nice, comforting, warm vegetable stew? So that's what we are making today, and we are just going to jump right in. My pan's already preheated here. So we're going to start with our onions, and I just have one large red onion just cut into chunks that we're going to get going. And we're also going to put in the celery, which is 3 stalks of celery, just, kind of bite-sized chunks, and 8 ounces of mushrooms. And I left them pretty big because, most stews, what we're going for here is kind of like a beef stew, right? But we're not using beef, of course. But you want something chewy in there, right? And that's what we're using the mushrooms for, because they are just so, they have a really nice bite to them, and they soak up all of those delicious flavors from all of the other things that we're going to be putting in there. So we're going to let this saute a bit. I've got 3 cloves of garlic also that we're putting in there. We're going to saute this until, it gets a little bit browned, the mushrooms start to release their moisture, and then I'll show you all the other ingredients that are going to go into this stew.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Complement. As healthy as it is, did you know there are a handful of missing or hard-to-get nutrients from a plant-based diet? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why I take Complement Plus every day. Complement Plus contains the 8 critical nutrients in dosages optimized specifically for plant-based eaters. Plus, they're completely transparent about ingredient sourcing and third-party testing, publishing the results directly on their website. As a special discount for our viewers, just use the code WFPB15 at checkout to save 15% off of your order.
Okay, we are done. So if you want to come in and take a look so you know what to look for when it's ready to put in the pan. And instead of using oil, if your pan starts sticking a little bit, you can either use just a little bit of water, or you can use some of the vegetable broth that we have from the recipe. And now we're going to deglaze the pan with a half a cup of red wine. That will get off all of those good remaining flavors. And this cooks just a little bit, which will cook off that alcohol. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. That's what's going to create that nice, rich broth. I'm going to stir that into these while this is cooking so that we're not left with any big globs of tomato paste. I'm going to add a little bit of the vegetable broth. This is 1 liter of vegetable broth. And this is a low sodium vegetable broth. Okay, just keep stirring that in. All right, and I have a casserole dish here that has a lid, like a Dutch oven, essentially. That's what we're going to use, that I've already preheated the oven to 400 degrees. So we're going to cook all of this together. Okay, so I'm going to add this to the bottom of the pan. These vegetables are going to totally fill up this container, but that is okay, because while they cook, those juices are going to come out and it will reduce just a little bit. Okay, Now I've got 3 carrots, just roughly chopped, you know, so you can get a nice big chunk of carrot in there. I always like to get the carrots that are a little bit bigger chunks. The same with the potatoes. This is 4 Yukon Gold potatoes. They're just cut into a little bit bigger chunks. And they will just turn out all nice and soft. Oh, it's just so delicious. So here we have 1 teaspoon of parsley, a ½ teaspoon of thyme, a ½ teaspoon of sage, 1 bay leaf, and then I'm gonna put the rosemary. I like to leave it as the whole thing because then you can just take out the twig along with your bay leaf. Once it's done cooking, it's easier, you know, because sometimes if you use dried rosemary or some of the rosemary, it's kind of barky to get some of the leaves sometimes, so I like to just pull it out, just let the flavor soak in while it's baking. I'm gonna do some cracked pepper, just however much you feel, probably about a ½ teaspoon or so. And then I'm gonna add a couple teaspoons of Bragg's liquid aminos, just for a little bit of the salty flavor. But you could also use tamari or low sodium soy sauce. They'll all work just the same. And then I have 1 liter of vegetable broth. Just gonna pour that in there. This container is a little bit smaller, so I'm gonna leave some of that out, but you could use all of, you know, if your container's a little bit bigger or your baking dish is a little bit bigger, you can use the whole liter. Okay, and I'm just kind of gently stirring some of the stuff in so that the spices don't just sit on the top. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna put that rosemary just right on the top. I'm gonna push it down into the liquid a little bit so that it will heat that up and let that flavor come out. We're gonna cover it with its lid and we're gonna get it into the oven. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our new Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting members. By becoming a supporting member, you gain access to great member perks like monthly product giveaways, free downloads of our ebooks, and access to our in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. We create this show for the hundreds of thousands of viewers just like you who tune in each month from all over the world to make it easy for everyone to live a plant-based lifestyle. So if you love our content, please join us on our mission and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay guys, the stew is done if you want to come in and take a look. So here you can see the bay leaf is still sitting right on the top, and my rosemary, so it's easy to just take out. So I did cook it. I cooked it for 45 minutes with the lid on, and then I took the lid off and cooked it for another 15 minutes. I like my stew to be a little bit brothy, but if you like a thicker broth for your stew, before you pour your broth in, before putting it in the oven, you can mix in a couple tablespoons of cornstarch or arrowroot powder, and that'll give you a nice thicker broth. But this is how I like it. Smells delicious, so I am ready to get a bowl, and I'll meet you at the table for a taste. All right, tasting time. Here we go. Oh gosh, I've been smelling this for a while, and oh, I just cannot wait to dig in. Hopefully it's not, it is still pretty hot, but let's see here. I absolutely love how the potatoes soak up all of that juice and the flavor. And the carrots are so tender. This is such an amazing, comforting dish. You guys are just gonna love this. Super filling and satisfying. Be sure to give this a like, and I'll see you next week for another great recipe.